Welcome to beautiful regional Victoria. We are in the picturesque city of Wodonga, home to the winding Murray River, endless activities, incredible cuisine and local produce. So much to do, so much to see, and this bustling, vibrant regional city is set to go off for round 3 of the ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores as our riders get their elbows out in the fight for championship points. This round is proudly presented by Victoria, and it is great to be here. Hi, I'm Kate Peck, and with me is 11-time national motocross champion Lee Hogan. Hogs, I think we've got our first mutter for the season.
Yeah, we have our first true mutter. We've had some muddy tracks so far, I have no doubt about it. But the rain has fallen. We're in for some treacherous conditions, that's for sure.
And it is a clash of the MX2 titans. Honda's Wilson Todd and KTM's Nathan Crawford, who did all his talking on track at Appen.
He did. Well, Honda's Wilson Todd, he's got the red plate and a nice handy little championship points lead. But wow, wasn't Appen all about Nathan Crawford? He made a massive statement. I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to ride the mud. Not so good in time qualifying here today.
And in MX3, Appen, Moto2, what a race. That class never ceases to entertain.
Well, the MX3 class, it continues to provide some of the closest battles that we have ever seen out there on the track. And that final moto at Appen, we had 5 riders. You could have thrown a blanket over all of them. And what an ecstatic Conatau we had. It was good to see.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the Michelin track preview with yourself and expert commentator Danny Ham.
Welcome to our Michelin track preview here for round 3. There's so many key elements to the track here at Wodonga, and a place that is traditionally known as a hard-packed circuit. We've got super high-speed corners, we've got some very tight corners, and as we can see here coming out of turn 2, we've got dirt that's like chocolate cake, almost like kids' Play-Doh. It's that nice and tacky. And that, as we turn to our left and have a look down here, brings us to what we call the wood section, and quite possibly the most famous part of the track here at Wodonga. A part of the track that gets next door to no sunshine throughout the whole day. If we have a look through here, the very first thing that we're presented with is a G-out that holds so much water. The straight line ruts that we get here is just phenomenal, and it certainly sorts the riders out, that's for sure. Which brings us to our next part of the track. Here we are, the notorious turn 3 here at the Wodonga circuit, and a place that last year we saw over 10 separate ruts, 10 different line selections in just one corner. And a place where if you took a wrong line choice, you could lose not 1 or 2 positions, but maybe 5 or 6 positions just from a bad line choice. Now, when you consider the amount of rain that we've got expected, not to mention the lack of sunshine that makes it down here into the wood section, this is going to be a key spot to keep your eyes on.
Now the circuit here can be broken down into a couple of pieces. The very first part, or the first half of the track, is quite open, it's very fast. And these riders have the opportunity to start setting themselves up to make passes. Now sometimes those passes can take 2, 3, 4 corners possibly to make these passes, but essentially it's going to come down to this particular corner here. This is a much tighter part of the track. It tightens up a lot more here, as we see here in Michelin turn. Now, there's going to be plenty of different lines for the riders to choose through here. As you can see right now, the surface itself in this particular part of the track, it's quite sandy. They've brought in some different type of material that's going to try and create some more of these lines. However, it looks good at the moment. What we're expecting though, with the weather that potentially could be here, this could turn into a key part of the track. There is going to be so many different lines that the riders need to choose from, so they're going to have to think ahead and try and plan these passes out nice and early to ensure they've picked the correct line going through these turns. Michelin turn was just the start of the tightness to this part of the track. Right here, standing on top of the massive wall jump, is the first part of the big jumps that will tighten the riders up even more. As they go down further through the track, we go into the final sections where it is even tighter once again. And if it shapes up to what we saw last year, that was the opportunity that a lot of riders had to make the passes right before the finish line. If this track shapes up anything like we saw last year, we are set for some fantastic racing. And that there is this week's Michelin Track Preview.
Here is the lineup, of course, the Maxxis tyres, MX3. Byron Dennis was one of our fastest out there early on in qualifying. Jake Cannon, Deacon Pace, Liam Owens, Seth Birchall, Frederick Taylor, who had a great race first in Moto number 1. Jack Byrne, Jack Mather, Seth Shackleton, and Campbell Williams.
Jack Kenny, Callum Dice, Oscar Fox, Balin Townsend, Caden Strode, number 38 there.
Cornwell, as well as a few of the others, as we get set for the start of this one. There is Woods on the inside, right next to the Moto2 winner from Appen of Conatau. As they blast into that first turn, who's going to get it? Tau with the whole shot in this one, just in front of Byron Dennis, who runs off track there, and he's just waiting to try and re-enter, but back behind these guys did very well to bring it back there and make sure he didn't gain anything. 7 machine of Lindsay there getting stuck in that turn.
Yeah, it's quite a few riders getting stuck there, and I tell you what, the edge of the track is getting a rather grey area now as to where you should and shouldn't be.
Oh no,
oh,
Cannon down.
Jake Cannon, our race 1 winner, has gone down, and he needs to be able to try to get that bike up and try to not get those gloves too, it's stuck in the mud.
So stuck, and he is pushing so hard to try and get that up. So Byron Dennis is going to gain that lead. Now, he had a terrible first moto in the fact that he did go down, as we look at the matrix whole shot up there on the left-hand side of Conatau. As I was saying, Byron Dennis did go down early in Moto number 1. However, he did work his way through quite a long way and get himself a decent result. So he's in the running at the moment, if he can hold there, potentially to find himself in the podium. But there is a lot of race to play out yet before he can even go close to trying to guess how this podium or overall will end up today.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing here is a lot of riders going on similar parts of the track, and then Seth Shackleton on the far right-hand side, they're going against the grain, completely different line to where everyone else is going. And I think, as we mentioned earlier, Danny, it's going to get to a stage of the day where some of these lines start to dry out a little bit. And we saw just right there, the second rut from the inside, and then there we see Kai Wood there go to the far inside rut. So complete slop from there on in as soon as we go out, and everyone avoiding it like the plague.
Well, it's what we're seeing right now, looking at the highlights leading into this one, just simply how wet the ground was. There was lying water around compared to what we're seeing right now. For the fact that we just saw everyone jumping that tabletop, which we didn't see in Moto number 1 as well, that there shows that the track is turning around a little bit. A lot of damage has been done already. However, it is starting to offer some different lines. Shaq's up the inside here, trying to find a line past this little group. Well, that's a very...
Yep.
That's an unintentional line.
Unintentional. Slowed down and let them go, but still certainly some creative lines going on out here. But there is a lot of battles going on amongst...
Who's that? That's
Kobe Drew there, 46.
Yep.
Both legs off the side of the bike there.
That was Callum Dice, and he's got Liam Liam Owens on the 204 who's actually made quite a few passes. I think he's just on the left of screen. He may be behind Travis Olander there on the right of screen. So these guys are creeping forwards in this race, and I believe Owens had a pretty good Moto number 1 as well. So this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out for the overall today as they work their way through. Yes, there's definitely Owens there.
Yeah, Liam Owens, what an absolute gun rider he is. We've seen some fantastic races from him already throughout the year, and we did likewise last year. Both lines almost coming together there, and both the riders lucky to keep it up on 2 wheels, to tell the truth. Don't think Olander's too happy about that, and nearly has a little bit of a high side on the Husqvarna machine.
So we'll do our best to try and keep on top of where everyone is in this one. The TV crew doing a sensational job. You'd have to appreciate just how difficult it is as we look at this pass. That was quite a... You know what? That was lines just coming together. Yeah. But that was a beautiful block pass.
It was. And a great job by Travis Olander to not go down.
Yeah, well, I thought up the inside there, he looked like he was potentially going to make that pass back. but just got a little bit unbalanced and had to sit it up there. So that has moved Owen now up in front of Orlando, so puts him in about, well, actually I think he's up there in 4th place and looking to move forward.
So a great ride from Victorian Callum Dice, who finds himself in 4th place, number 233. He's the younger brother of, a lot of you guys would remember out there, one of the best junior riders in the country coming through was Cody Dice, won a lot of national championships and did exceptionally well quite a few years ago. Well, Callum is the younger brother. Just as I say that, he starts making his way backwards through the pack, so I'm not sure if he's had...
Oh, no, the leader. That was the leader. There goes Jack Mather in 2nd place. That bike
cannot get the bike started. We've got major dramas with the factory gas machine. Oh, it's up and going.
Yeah, couldn't find neutral. So here we go. Here's a replay just outside. Loses the front, actually, so he does go down.
Yeah.
And then it was a case that he couldn't find neutral by the looks of it. And these bikes, especially when the clutch is hot, in a condition like this, you can't just pull the clutch in and press that button hoping it'll start. You really need to find that neutral position. And there's a change. So Kai Woods, who's on screen, he's actually relegated himself up into the lead. So he copped himself a little bit of a penalty in the first one for cutting the track. He was up there as well. So I'm sure he'll be taking note of that as they go across the finish line there back towards the mechanics area. No, we're at the back part of the track, sorry. This is out of turn number 2 going into number 3.
So great ride so far from Kai Woods. He's holding down that 1st place. From 2nd place, Jack Mather. A lot of familiar names. Liam Owens back there in 3rd place. Byron Dennis has got himself back up and running from Travis Olander. So some very big names that we're used to seeing up at that pointy end of the field. Back in 10th place, Campbell Williams. We would expect to see him up ever so slightly, a little bit higher. And already, Jake Cannon's made his way up to 11th. So how far forward can this kid make his way?
Now, the pace we saw out of him early on in moto number 1, he was close to a minute lead over everyone else. So he potentially got that chance to move through a few more places yet. As we see Mather up to the inside there, grabbing himself a big puddle of mud through that part.
Right, well, Kai Woods leading the way so far here. Moto2, MX3, what a race. Welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We've got 5 minutes to go for the Maxxis Tyres MX3 Moto number 2, and it is Jack Mather on the Husqvarna machine that continues to lead. Byron Dennis back there in 2nd place from Liam Owens.
And it is all over the place at the moment. There is bikes going down everywhere. Just when you think someone is moving forwards, just like that, Byron Dennis again. So another mistake there. Unfortunate for him. He is really pushing hard and going forwards, but another mistake means he has to put all that hard work in again to catch through to Jack Mather, who is our leader just in front here on the right hand, probably the bottom part of the screen. We may catch a glimpse of him. No, he's already passed there. So Byron Dennis looks very strong on bike, but he's got a lot of work ahead of him to try and close down that lead again. There he is, Jack Mather, the 43 machine, who will pick up a huge amount of points this round. Looking at our round points just here at the moment as they stand, which potentially with 4 minutes to go has absolutely no validation to it because everything goes wrong, but he is currently in a position where he could grab the overall for today.
Yeah, and along with the overall, a championship points lead with 82 points, and he'll have himself a nice little 4-point buffer over Byron Dennis. So very pointy still at the head of the field, but Kai Woods is the big loser in this particular situation, who, if he stays back in 11th, he's going to end up with 68 points and still be well and truly in with the championship fight. But it's Liam Owens who's currently in 3rd place. It'll be 74 as well. So interesting times, and this is what we expect from the MX3, is ups and downs and, you know, moments of brilliance and then a few mistakes. You don't really expect a seasoned veteran in this class. That's not what it's all about. It's about exposing future talent, and we're seeing plenty of that here.
So if there is a veteran into the class, or at least he got a good full season under his belt last year, was Jack Mather, who is in the lead. So this is the kind of experience that you expect to be up the front. Also with this guy here, who did a solid year last year as well, in Byron Dennis. So Dennis, again, has closed down that gap. It says 2.3 seconds on the left. I think it's a little closer than that, but it's only going to take one more mistake again to lose all that ground as he dabs his way through that left-hander with 2 minutes 40 seconds left to go on the clock. Into the right-hander here, and gets held up too by a lapped rider, so that one was out of his hands. Again, he is going to have to do all that work once again. Unfortunate for him.
He's been putting in a sensational ride so far, but look, I think it's more a matter of if rather than when. Everyone is having their mistakes out here. Rider caught under his bike. You can see legs stuck under there, and riders simply don't have the energy to be able to lift the bike up and off themselves, unfortunately. So have a look here. Caught, not being able to move. Nowhere for Byron Dennis to go. Lofts that front wheel very nicely out of the rut. Did it about as good as you possibly could. And back on track once again.
And no panicking either in that situation. Very relaxed when he did it. We see...
Kyle Webster's?
That is Webster's bike, only just getting pushed back now. Wow. So wonder how that'll play out later on. As we see another rider down there just really forcing their way to get back onto the bike. That's the 315. Don't have that name just there in front of me. There goes Kobe Drew, just past, as well as Campbell Williams. He is back there in 6th place. We go back to our race leader, who has a 5-second lead over 2nd place.
Fantastic ride for Jack Mather. Byron Dennis continues to be back there in 2nd place. 5 seconds is the gap, but we got a 30-second gap further back to Liam Owen. So it's the front two who have done everything that they're supposed to do at the moment and continues to do so. But looking like a little bit of extra intensity from Byron Dennis at the moment, as we have got just under a minute on the clock. We've got enough time for one last charge.
Yeah, well, maybe that time will expire. There is Lindsay having another moment out there. Quite easy to do. I think we've got 2 laps left. We're almost at the finish line, 39 seconds left. Will we get the time expired, or is it going to be about 5 seconds left before that will run out? There is Campbell Williams, very obvious style. He is there in front of Jake Cannon.
Jake Cannon, once again, after a couple of mishaps and hitting the deck, finds himself in 7th place, which he will not be happy with. Clearly had the pace today, clearly knows how to ride the mud and enjoys it. Just had a few little mishaps, which, hey, we can expect that from juniors from time to time. Sneaking up the inside here of Campbell Williams. A very nice little pass, and he was just ducking and dodging and weaving all through that corner, wasn't he?
3 riders in that one spot there.
Kai Woods.
Kai Woods just back there behind them as well. So, you know, you've got a good gaggle of riders just here, that all the riders that could potentially play into the championship before this season is done. So to have them all here trying their best to score some extra points, Jake Cannon, though, is really on a move at the moment.
Yeah, the boys just exiting Michelin turn there, and of course Kai Woods trying to go around the outside on Pirelli turn, trying to make a move on Campbell Williams, and does so. So we can see the riders near that end stage of the race still have the intensity, still trying to, I'm not sure what's going on with Campbell Williams there. It looked like he was standing up straight, so not sure if he's had some kind of a drama, if he's maybe aggravated some kind of niggling injury. How is the depth of the rut that Jake Cannon just went through?
Yeah, so Cannon's doing his best at the moment to get another pass under the belt. That is Kobe Drew sitting there in 5th place. So another great ride for a lot of these riders that we don't get to talk about too much, but Kobe Drew is more than an exceptional rider to be able to get up there as well.
Now, Danny, just to quickly point out, as you called it before, they didn't quite make the time, so an extra lap. They're only on lap 7 of 8. Let's just quickly point out, if our timing screen's correct, under 1 second separates first from 2nd place.
Yeah, so that is gone really close at the moment. It'd be probably in the middle part of the track just there. Probably going into Michelin turn very soon, but there is Cannon. Can he make that pass? It's a lot of intensity trying to get that pass made. go back a little bit further and see some more of these riders just battling their way through this. Another rider down there is Lindsay. Once again, unfortunate for him, he is having a pretty rough weekend this weekend down here at Wodonga. There is Birchall, the 27 machine, also paddling his way through.
All right, and I think we'll find our...
Pass has been made.
Okay, there we go, right. Looks like race leader Byron Dennis on the gas machine has made that pass on Jack Mather in the very latter stages of the race, and he's about to tip it into the final turn, and he will receive the 1 lap to go board. What a ride from Byron Dennis. He's had ups, he's had downs, he's hit the deck, he's gone off the track, he's run into other riders, and at this late stage in the race, with just 1 lap to go, he finds himself in the lead, and a much better line that time.
Yeah, but it forced him off the track.
Off the side of the track. I spoke too early.
And sometimes you can't fight those decisions that your bike decides to make for you, and you just have to roll with it. And he did very well there just to stay up on top of the bike and not have any issues. So he has opened up a small gap now, just at the bottom of the screen there, just ran through over Jack Mather, but Mather, a great ride. Remember the last round, really struggling with that knee injury that he had. So the points he is picking up right now is going to be huge for him in this championship.
Well, his knee must be getting a little bit better, Danny, because if you recall back to Appen, he couldn't even dab his foot on the ground without excruciating pain. And as we can see, just trying to do 1 lap around this track, if his knee was as bad as it was at Appen, he would not be able to ride simply. So that's great news for Jack Mather throughout the latter part of this series, that's for sure. But looking in fine form up at the head of the pack is Byron Dennis on board the gas machine. He's made his way through the pack and put himself exactly where he needs to be. The points for the day, though, will be 43 to him, and Jack Mather will be 44 and take the overall on the day by 1 point. So Mather does not need to make that critical pass in this last lap.
That is for the overall, of course, and a great result for Mather, picking up points on everyone in the championship. But I am very impressed with Byron Dennis, the way he has ridden today. Actually, in fact, I was very impressed with the way he rode also at Appen, but I feel that he just didn't have the luck that he needed. A few mistakes here and there. It didn't show his true potential, but today we certainly are seeing it as he makes his way around these final couple of turns. Lee, you've got to agree, looking very strong on the bike, a rider that believes that they should be up here in the first place position.
Yeah, and also what I'm really liking is that his lines are starting to come together. Like he's found some great lines on the track from searching, and the only way you find that is by making a couple of mistakes along the way. But what an amazing ride for him as he makes his way through the final turn for the very last time. A checkered flag and one-hander, a little bit of a fist pump there for the gas rider. Byron Dennis takes the win in Moto2. Now, it won't be enough to take the overall on the day. However, he will still hold down a very nice 2-point lead in the championship, Danny. What a day for both Byron Dennis and, of course, Jack Mather, finishing in 2nd place. Will get the overall. There we see Connor Towell coming through, but he is a lap down. Liam Owens will be the one holding on for 3rd place. Let's take a look now at the Maxxis Tyres results for MX3 Moto2, and Byron Dennis was our winner from Jack Mather in 2nd place. Liam Owens rounding out the top 3. Kai Woods from Kobe Drew.
Travis Orlando, great result as well. Campbell Williams, great to see him back up there, getting a decent result as well. Seth Birchall back there in a Deacon pace, another good result. So 2 good results for him today. And Jake Cannon made it all the way back through to 10th place after that 2nd time on the ground.
Really a case of what could have been for Jake Cannon. That double victory is coming sooner or later. Callum Dice, Ryan King, Frederick Taylor, Balin Townsend and Kobe Hantis rounding out the top 15.
Shafton, Rowe, Strode, Olone and Fox are your top 20 in the results for the MX3. And I'm really excited to see this class continue to progress.
Let's head down to Kate's.
And the round winner, Jack Mather, an incredible performance after you have come back from your MCL injury. Tell us about your rides today.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough track today. So just being consistent, trying to stay on the bike was important today, and we were able to get some good starts and lead some laps. So we were able to put a good moto and put her on top of the box.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Well, what a race there from Byron Dennis, but Jack Mather coming out on top with a sensational win overall, Danny.
Yeah, after the last round, I'm sure he'll be absolutely pumped to come away with such a positive result. As we take a look at the championship points, of course, Byron Dennis, as we mentioned, up on 81, 79 for Mather, 76 for Woods, 74 for Owens. Just shows you how close this championship is right now.
Kobe Drew there back in 5th place, Seth Birchall, Campbell Williams still up there in the fight from Kobe Handis, Travis Olander and Jake Cannon in 10th after missing the last round. Let's take a quick look at the Pirelli lineup for MX2 Moto2, Brody Connolly, Wilson Todd, Alex Larwood, Caleb Barham, Jacob Sweet.
Noah Ferguson, Caden Minia, Reese Budd, Jace Cosford, who had a great race, also first one out, and Justin Dobson.
Liam Andrews, Cody Cooper, Nathan Crawford. What are we going to see from Nathan Crawford in this one? Chandler Burns, Hayden Smith, Blake Fox.
Yeah, so Crawford, I think there's going to be a bounce back. We know the mental strength of him. I did get a chance to talk to Carl Blunden between them. They didn't dissolve what it was. That there was certainly a mechanical failure. Didn't know what it was, but I asked him how Nathan was. He said, yeah, look, he's absolutely bummed, but he is still confident. He has that mind strength to bounce back from that and expect to see that kind of ride when we get this one underway as well.
Yeah, look, and there's only so many hits you can take. It doesn't matter how mentally strong you are. You can only take so many hits before you're just mentally defeated, you know, and he's just such a strong character. Nathan Crawford, you know, he's going to bounce back. Very much looking forward to the drop of the gate here for Moto2 of the Pirelli MX2. 20 minutes plus a lap, the duration here. Can Brody Connolly do it again? Or will Wilson Todd step up? Perhaps Alex Larwood? Or maybe the young gun, Caden Minia? We are only moments away from this gate dropping. Gear slipped into second gear and they are ready to go.
Mid-track there, Crawford looked pretty good, but it's Connolly again.
Another great start from the New Zealander. And someone has come around the outside. It was Crawford, Nathan Crawford. Straight to the outside goes Connolly, and it looks like he'll keep it.
Again, riders down before we even get through turn number 2. So again, these riders, no side lap. They need to learn this track straight up.
Just trying to pick up, was that in second place? No,
65, 85? Not too sure. That is certainly Crawford there in third place. Is this Wilson Todd just coming through screen just there?
Looked to have been Reese Budd has come through already, so that would put him in around somewhere around 6th to 8th place around there. So we'll wait till we start to see official names starting to come up on the leaderboard.
I think we might have saw Dobson there towards the back, unfortunately, again. But it is clear to see Connolly, the Honda rider, is out in front of almost. Coming undone there, second place.
That hook, there's a massive hook in that part of the rack that need to keep on top of. Of course, the 7-hole shot going to Brody Connolly. Another amazing start from the factory Honda rider.
Okay, it looks like possibly Larwood. It is Larwood there, back there in 4th place.
I'll tell you, someone I haven't picked up yet is the #1 machine of Wilson Todd, trying to spot where he is on the big scheme of things.
Yeah, so I think I saw him come through turn number 2 back there in around about 10th place, as we start to see on our board the actual places.
Caden Minia, I was coming out of turn 1 into turn 2. I was going to say, is that Caden Minia? The white gear threw me off. That does not even look like his riding style.
No.
He looks a bit different, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's I was very confused. I didn't want to call a name. I was going to get it wrong. So Minia there in 2nd place. Larwood back in 4th. Liam Andrews sits there in 5th place. So a good start for him. Hayden Smith. There is Wilson Todd now in 7th. So he's made a couple of passes, got himself up just that little bit further. So another good, solid start. And as he knows out of race number 1, you just have to keep chipping away at it, and those places will come to you.
Yeah, terrific start here for Brody Connolly and likewise for Caden Minia. I'm super impressed with the top 5 start from Liam Andrews on board the Spectro Elliott Brothers Privateer Honda machine, a brand new team that's only just been launched this year. Limited budget to get out and participate with the factory teams, but doing what a fantastic job, Danny.
So Andrews there in 4th now, actually made that pass just moments ago and sits right onto the back wheel of the 199 machine as all the riders are running that very inside line. There is Larwood. He was on the outside there, getting the a good line.
Oh, and that looked like it could have been maybe not a high side crash, but certainly high side for Liam Andrews. It's such an easy thing to do on this track at the moment.
So, Lee, do you think that the track is going to be harder on the bikes in this one, or it's going to be a bit easier? Are we going to see that same kind of level of bikes smoking up?
Well, you just saw the line that Nathan Crawford come through there. No load on the bike whatsoever.
Exactly.
It's almost tacky. Through the middle part of the track, it's almost tougher than what it was in Moto2. So I think it has potential to go either way. If you're smart and you get your lines right, I think it's going to be Caden Minia getting a little bit sketchy there. I think if you hit your lines right and you keep it off the ground and you keep that nice air coming in, you don't get stuck behind a rider for half the race and fill up your radiators. I think this race has potential to be kinder on your motorcycle.
Yes.
However, I think there's other parts that could make it very, very tricky as well.
There is Andrews on screen, the 32 machine, the Honda rider, trying to close down that gap again on Crawford. At the end of last lap, he was right there onto the back wheel, as we see Crawford diving to the inside, looking for a fresh line through those rollers. Minia still sits there in second place, doing a great job to work his way through all of these very deep ruts and maintain that second position. This is such a big learning curve for him to jump into this class and already be sitting in this position. A fantastic effort. And this kid next year in this class, man, he is going to be something special.
Well, he's just such a warrior, you know, and he's 15 years old, about to have his 16th birthday. He's still a baby in the big scheme of things. Now, do we see him here in Australia next year? I mean, it was right about this age where we lost Hunter Lawrence to Europe. In fact, it was exactly this age. But let's not forget, Hunter didn't even get to do his first year in seniors before he went to go overseas. So you find them in very, very similar circumstances, and it's great to have this kind of caliber of rider coming through the ranks in Australia.
So Connolly stretching out that lead to 6.8 seconds at the moment as he works his way through that right-hand turn down into this next big long right, which we thought was going to produce a lot of ruts, but simply with the way the track has formed up through Gabriel Turn here, it has turned into a massive slop fest, and it's a bit of a gamble anywhere you go through there.
And I think, once again, the lack of sun, any sun that comes out here at Wodonga, it's not getting a chance to dry that slop enough to start to form proper ruts. Have a look at Caden. He's almost starting to close in ever so slightly. Likewise, Nathan Crawford still hanging on very, very closely there in third place. And a great job for Liam Andrews, who continues to be fourth.
He's still there in front of Larwood, fifth place, and then Wilson Todd in sixth as they go into this right-hand turn.
Yeah, tipping it into the auto light right-hander there. Just a fantastic job for these guys. They've managed to find a little bit of a nice dry line through there, and you can see either side of that dry line so muddy.
So these riders really do have to be careful where they are finding themselves positioned on the track as they go through all of these turns and where these ruts lead them, as we've seen some penalties already handed out today. Something that the riders will need to keep in mind as they try to find new lines that work. You see second place there, Minia just taking his time, getting his way through these ruts, and he hasn't lost any ground at the moment.
Just been spectacular to watch. Now, I want to ask your opinion, Danny. I don't know, you tell me what you think. In my opinion, quite often, it doesn't matter if it's junior motocross here in Australia or seniors, they can be really quite critical and not backwards at handing out penalties for cutting the track or going off. I really think they're allowing a little bit of slack today.
Yes.
And I think if you get a penalty today, you have well and truly earned it, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. It is a tough decision to make. Thankfully, it's not ours, but let's head back down to Kate.
Yeah, just an update on Caden Minia. His sand skills have really translated to the mud, his mechanic said, and today he has been over-positive.
Yeah, right, that's great to hear, and it shows with the style of riding that you see from these riders. A confident rider in the mud is always going to do a lot better than someone that is just doubting their abilities in the mud. So I think it's winning the first battle right there, Lee.
Yeah, and look, I think we saw in his first rookie year in MX3, I still have visions of him side saddle at Maitland up and over that jump, and we, you know, the camera crew caught it brilliantly on the footage, and I think we even highlighted it in packages later with the slow-mo. It was just, it was awesome to see. You know, there was memes done about it. It was fantastic, and I think that's one of his biggest strengths, is his will to never give in no matter what, and that's a rare thing to find in a seasoned veteran, let alone a young gun like that.
Well, he is going to start feeling the pressure, though, from the teammates of Nathan Crawford. Oh, little tuck of the front wheel, but managed to hold on. I do want to point out, Lee, though, last lap around, fastest on track, fastest of the race was, in fact, Cade Minia.
Yeah, very impressive. And also having a look at that last lap, everyone seems to be hovering around so close. You're right, Caden Minia, the only one in 222s, but Brodie Connolly, 223. Likewise for Nathan Crawford, Liam Andrews, Alex Larwood, all of them in the 223. So very similar.
And I expect to see that this lap in particular, nice there by Crawford, 2-3 through that roller section. I expect this lap time by Crawford should be the quickest, certainly that he has done in this race, and also potentially the quickest of the races. He looks to the inside. Remember how strong he was at Appen in these deep ruts, finding those lines and making those passes. And it's very difficult because you can try something different in all of these ruts, but you know, you don't want to follow those guys, but just get locked into something that may potentially not be the best line.
A great little back-to-back section there for Caden Minia, as he did that original left-hander far outside and then tucked to the very inside of the right-hander. Managed to stretch out another little gap there over Nathan Crawford.
And Crawford certainly would have been the quickest that last lap around as he moved into the 219s. However, it was our race leader that is just turned up the afterburners because he went into a 218 flat. So he is going to be stretching out that lead even more. 8.2 seconds over our second place as these two continue to battle it out for that minor place on this race. Into some lap riders. One lap rider just going down there, getting caught up. Both of the KTM riders. Oh, how was the sliding by Crawford then going into that turn? Two different ruts for the wheels of it. Blasts around the outside.
Wow, what a line from Nathan Crawford as he blasts past his factory KTM teammate, Caden Minia, who's not going to watch his teammate walk off into the distance. He'll try a different line here. Will it work? Nice line there. Gets very good drive as Crawford gets caught up. How will this play out?
Well, interesting to see here as Minia tried to continue that momentum around the outside. Almost gets that pass made, but maybe you should just take a lap there, have a look at what Crawford's doing, look for some different lines, see what's working, as Crawford almost gets caught up behind a lapped rider. Now, certainly does out of the exit.
Yeah, now, as we approach the final two corners before the finish line, I really hope that Caden doesn't hop in behind Crawford and take a different line, because he actually has the superior line out of the two, and if he can somehow stay close enough, could potentially make a pass. All right, well, time for a break here. We have got plenty more MX2 action still to come.
Crawford dabbing his way through this, sits there in second place, 4.6 seconds. So interesting to see what the lap times will be this time around as he goes over the finish line. Nathan Crawford certainly is on the move. He just dropped himself into a 216. The fastest prior to that was a 218. However, the lead rider that last lap around, a 222. That is a huge chunk to take out of that lead in that one single lap.
Well, it absolutely is. And for Brodie Connolly, as we take a bit of a look here at that changing of position between those two KTM riders, quick little point I wanted to make, Danny, the lap times, the 222 for Brodie Connolly is, you know, reasonably reflected on your, you know, third, fourth and fifth place riders. I don't think he was to know that Crawford was coming, but he's going to get word very, very soon. Now, something I was going to mention a couple of minutes ago, Danny, and it's about the man on the screen at the moment, Wilson Todd. If we just take a quick little look now, he's in fifth place at the moment. I just want to bring attention to the overall series points as it sits at the moment. If Brodie Connolly gets the win here, he will be 102 versus Wilson Todd 105. So they move to within 3 points of each other in the championship points chase in what is starting to develop as a bit of a battle between the two Honda superstars. Welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We have only got 5.5 minutes to go, plus a lap here for the Pirelli MX2 Moto2. And we have had a change of the lead. Nathan Crawford is at the head of the pack on board the factory KTM. Brodie Connolly, our original race leader, has just now made a pass on the young gun KTM superstar, Caden Minier.
So this will be interesting to see how it plays out. We saw such strength out of Connolly in Moto #1 in the really wet, sloppy conditions. And he was leading this one pretty confidently early on in this race, but something happened over the last lap or two that saw him lose that lead. Big jump up and over. Not many riders actually getting over that. So there is some intensity trying to make back those lost places.
Now, Danny, can I just quickly ask you a question? I want to get into the mindset of Brodie Connolly at the moment. We can see from his riding intensity what it looks like he's trying to do, but how should he play this out? He gets a clear overall win here. So let's have a look at our Honda replay, and this is, of course, the pass on Caden Minier. It was just no hesitation whatsoever. So let me ask you again, let's get inside the head of Brodie Connolly, and he seems to be setting off after Nathan Crawford. Clearly does not need to beat him to get a very substantial and easy overall win here today.
Yeah, another fallen rider just there in front of him. Yeah, look, this would be, well, will be his first overall here in Australia. So he really needs to think about that, not do anything silly. If, for some reason, the pass or opportunity comes to you from little mistakes like we just saw there from Nathan Crawford, then yeah, go for it. But I feel that a 1-2 result for him gets him a lot of points in the championship. He still sits there in front of Wilson Todd, although it wasn't as close as what we mentioned just a moment ago. He will pick up valuable points and he will get the overall for the day, and that there alone is going to build so much confidence that he'll be able to take forward. So I think he should ride this one out, be safe, only if the opportunity presents should he be looking to try and take that win.
Well, it's currently Nathan Crawford at the head of the pack, and he has seen a lot of the head of the pack over the last couple of rounds. Unfortunately for him, his bad races have been bad and his good races have been brilliant.
So that bike failure, whatever it might have been, unfortunate for him. And it is strange too that to have happened on lap, what was it, 2 or 3 in Moto #1? You know, you expected, like we saw in MX1, to happen at the end of the race where the bikes have done 20 minutes of absolutely hard riding. Those kind of things are expected, but to happen lap 3, no, that was unusual. So yeah, the bounce back here from Nathan Crawford, as we expected, as you said at the start of the race. This is what we will probably see out of him, is something that shows the strength in the rider that we see here in the lead of this one.
Yeah, fantastic job so far as we edge ever so close towards the end of this race. 2 minutes 30 to go on the clock, and then we get the last lap board will come out. But Nathan Crawford has himself a 5.5 second lead over Brodie Connolly back there in second place. And the man on screen at the moment, Wilson Todd, if positions remain as they are, will continue to lead the championship at the end of this race.
So Todd has the opportunity here also to maybe gain one more position. Alex Larwood is only a few seconds up in front of him. I actually saw a glimpse of him a moment ago, just in front. There he is, bottom of screen, so he can clearly see him now. He may be able to snap himself a couple more points in that championship and potentially actually get himself up to a better position on the podium.
Yeah, that'll clearly put him up there into, I believe, second place on the day. Whereas at the moment, he finds himself tied with Caden Minier. Caden would get it on a countback. So, look, we expect this as we see a rider just trying. That's Noah Ferguson. Oh, a little bit of an over-calculation of trying to bring that bike back. Nearly tipping it into our number 12 rider there, who is Seaton Broomhall. So So wouldn't that be a fantastic ride for Caden Minia if he can get himself a solid second overall on the day, even if it is tied with the count back? Up there with the biggest name in MX2, Wilson Todd, and our championship points leader. However, Wilson Todd, we know near the end of the race, he just likes to keep leapfrogging past people, doesn't he?
There is Liam Andrews still on screen, moving himself forward from where he was. He was up early in this race, so maybe a small mistake saw him potentially go down and is starting to work his way forward again. Seems like possibly Larwood there, is it? Or maybe that is a battle between, oh, that's Jesse Dobson, Cody Cooper. There is Reese Budd just in front of them. They've got a good battle going on here between about 5 riders. So this is a good spot to be looking. Just in front of all of them was Caleb Barham as well. So this is for a few places down inside the top 10, but 5 or so riders all battling it out for that one position right now. 18 Miles Gilmore. That's a great ride. He had some problems in the first race, went down, so a good rebound ride for him as well. There's Reese Budd on the 22 machine.
It certainly hasn't been the round for him that he would have hoped for. It's been a little bit of an up and down season for the Serco Yamaha rider. Good to see Noah Ferguson back on his bike and up and circulating once again. So a little quick rundown here of our top 10. Crawford from Connolly and Minia rounding out our top 3. Larwood back to Wilson Todd. And then we still see Noah Ferguson after his little tip over in 6th place. Caleb Barham, Reese Budd, Miles Gilmore and Jesse Dobson. So just out of the top 10, Cody Cooper, Hayden Smith and Liam Andrews has dropped further back. Danny, unfortunately, was in 4th place for such a long time.
Yeah, so this track just getting the better of him, I would say, as they move themselves around lap 9 of 10. So we are just about to enter the very last lap. You didn't realise that time flew through as quick as it did. There is Brodie Connolly moving towards the finish line to receive the last lap board as well. Has that got... Our timing says Minia is back there in 2nd place. So while we're away, looking elsewhere, Minia sits there in 2nd in front of Connolly.
Yeah, well yeah, okay. Yeah, so we've had another little bit of a switcheroo here, and I'm just to have a look at series points as they sit at the moment. Of course, Brodie Connolly would be on 97, Caden Minia with 85.
It's still
That's the
close.
series, yeah. So, yeah, not too bad. However, if we take a look at the round points, of course, Brodie Connolly has a very nice, substantial little gap there with 45 points. It'll be a clear 2nd place for Caden Minia if things stay the way they are. 2 points ahead of Wilson Todd, who will round out the overall. So, very interesting here with only just over half a lap to go, Danny Ham. Nathan Crawford has bounced back from a very unfortunate mechanical in Moto2, and he has come out all guns a-blazing here in the final moto.
As we said, this is exactly what we thought would happen with Nathan Crawford, trying to bounce back, regain those lost points. He's certainly been thrown some curves this year, but he'll keep chipping away at it. And this win will also help with that, keep that confidence alive to keep pushing forwards. And there'll be no doubt after today just how strong he is once again as we move to the next round at Maitland. He will be the force to be reckoned with. As he makes his way through the last few turns over this tabletop past another lapped rider with an 11-second lead over Minia going into the last couple of turns. The KTM rider, factory KTM of 199, moves towards the finish line.
Well, here it is, 1 turn to go, tipping it into the right-hander, and he has bounced back the only way that we expect Nathan Crawford to, and he comes up, tap at the chest, and race victory for the factory KTM rider. A DNF in Moto2 will not be what he wants for the overall for the day, but you can't do any better than a win here in Moto2. But I'm looking forward to seeing 2nd place as they come through. And it is Brodie Connolly who gets his 1st overall. But Caden Minier come through in what I'm going to call as the race of the day so far, Danny. What an absolute champion in the making.
Yeah, wow, what a result for all of these. Look at the excitement. Both of them riders on screen, the first huge results that they've had here in this class. So fantastic to see it happen on such a difficult day as well.
Let's take a look at the results for Pirelli MX2 Moto number 2. Nathan Crawford from the Super Kid, Caden Minier, Brody Connolly, Alex Larwood, and Wilson Todd.
Caleb Barham up into 6th place. He was only a couple of points away from getting himself onto the podium as well. Noah Ferguson, Jesse Dobson, Reese Budd, Cody Cooper round out your top 10.
Liam Andrews just outside of the top 10. Hayden Smith, Ryan Alexanderson, Miles Gilmore, and Haruki Yokoyama round out the top 15.
Jace Cosford back there in 16th after such a fantastic moto number 1. Chandler Burns, Tynan Keane, Liam Atkinson, and Mackenzie O'Brien are your top 20. And Lee, what a race it was to see those riders up front. These are the riders we do expect to be there on a tough day. Just a perfect setup going into our next round at Maitland.
Yeah, a few riders we expected to see up there, the Jesse Dobsons, the Reese Budds, Noah Fergusons, but it wasn't to be for them today. But it was all about Brody Connolly, Caden Minier showing what he's made of, Nathan Crawford bouncing back the way that we know he can.
In P1 for the round win, Brody Connolly, you must be so thrilled with this. You're still new to the team, but you look so comfortable out there.
Yeah, I'm stoked. It's all starting to come together and I'm getting really comfy with this team and yeah, I'm loving it. Track was gnarly today. That second moto was real tough, but I managed another good start and just tried to bring it home, really.
You did that. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, the man of the moment, Brody Connolly, taking a sensational victory on board the Polyfloor Factory Honda machine. And Caden Minier, what an amazing ride. Let's take a look at our championship points for the Pirelli MX2. Wilson Todd, 105. From Brody Connolly, 97. Caden Minier there with 85 points, and Nathan Crawford back there with 75. We go a little further down the list, Caleb Barham, Reese Budd, Jace Cosford, and Alex Larwood rounding out the top 8. Well, it's always a pleasure coming to Wodonga, and a huge thank you goes out to the Victorian Government and the Wodonga Council for their amazing hospitality. We do hope you've enjoyed all the action from round 3 of the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. On behalf of Danny Ham, Kate Peck and myself, Lee Hogan, thanks for your company. Be sure to join us May the 7th as we head to Maitland in New South Wales for round 4 of the championship. Goodbye for now.